Guys, and welcome to round one with blue white Keruga control. Let's get started. We'll go over some of our best plays and analyze what happened. So here, just I'm gonna discuss a little bit the hand. Um, so it seems it's obviously a really good hand. Um, Disregarding of what the opponent will play, we have four lands, which is amazing, but we also have four colors, right? We have a black and red, obviously with blue white, and that's gonna allow our ley lines to be cheap. But we also have the plane cycling guide to just go fetch for another land. Our Supreme Verdict is castable, and we have our Keruga as well. So this hand overall, it's perfect because it's gonna buy us enough time to kind of like wrath and then gain some advantage at the end with Keruga. So our opponent here goes turn one Secret Foundry Legion Loyalist. So we're definitely going to be under pressure, but the fact that we have a Supreme Verdict and an Absorb is really good because it'll let us absorb on turn three. And then on turn two, if let's say our draws are not really great, we can plane cycle so that we go turn three Absorb, turn four Supreme Verdict. So we'll be able to gain three, stop some of the aggro from our opponent, and then Wrath. So this hand is looking really good against this matchup. Let's go turn next round, turn next turn. So we just play our tap land and pass. Opponent is gonna play Ornithopter and get in for 5. We'll be going down to 14. Again, we'll play our tap land. Since I drew the Field of Ruin, I don't need to go plane cycling anymore, and it also leaves me with more space to absorb. Uh, our opponent here is obviously just trying to mount as much pressure as possible, and it's really good for us the fact that they couldn't attack this turn and they played the knight. However, the knight's ability is gonna restock his hand, right? So we're just hoping that he doesn't hit another reckless bushwhacker. So we have enough time to wrath and then counter. If we're able to counter a key card next turn with the life gain, we'll be well enough where we won't be able to die, and then we can wrath his board and just push ahead from there. So let's see what happens. So our opponent is gonna resolve his EOS, putting in into his hand Gideon, a Kithian, my bad, and a Reckless Bushwhacker, which is the card exactly that we didn't want to see. But let's see how our opponent plays it because we know that we have Absorb. So our opponent starts with the Burning Tree Emissary, and we are aware of the Reckless Bushwhacker because he showed it with the Knight of Erin. So I'm not gonna counter this. I'm gonna let this just come into play because also, what's the point of countering this when I have the Supreme Verdict, right? It's just gonna get Wrath. So he's gonna play the Reckless Bushwhacker, and I'm actually gonna counter the Bushwhacker just so his guy doesn't get haste, right? Also lets us gain life, and now we're too far away from him killing us this turn. With just two cards in hand and us verdicting this turn, I think we're in a just really good position. Our opponent here is gonna play some guys again, but then another Supreme Verdict is just gonna be too much for him. Um, and that's game one. I hope you like game one. It went by really fast, but overall at this point we're well set up. All our lands are in play. We can go get Keruga, and then if he plays something, we also have Alabaster to take care of it, and then Keruga to draw us a card. So that will be an extra 2 to 3 draws. And with that, this game was very well set up and very well played. See you on the next round. Hello, guys. Welcome to game two of the first round. So I wanted to go over some quick things. Just a sideboard. So I believe I missed sideboard here. I should have taken out both of the fairies and then added the Dream Trawler and the Detention Sphere. Perhaps a Farewell as well. But the Farewell is a little bit slower than usual because 6 mana is a lot and it's a lot to get to. The Detention Sphere should have definitely gone in there because it gets rid of all the tokens and any planeswalkers if our opponent happens to play any planeswalkers. It also gets rid of any creatures that temporary lockdown leaves behind, so that's very good. And Teferi is not very good in this matchup. So sideboard being discussed, let's go to our hand. our hand looks really good. We have a turn two play. We also have 3 mana ley line because we have a Sparrow's headquarters, and we have ways to draw into our cards. The issue with this matchup is that they can overwhelm you with tokens. So it's always good to like mulligan into a temporary lockdown. But this hand makes me feel confident enough that if my opponent doesn't have a crazy start, um, we would be in a good position. Also, we have the Wandering Emperor, which is really huge in this matchup because it allows us to remove a creature, gain 2 life, and then next turn put a 2/2 blocker. So um, having that considered with a turn three ley line and a turn two behold the multi universe. So we have turn two, turn three, turn four. Um, really makes me want to keep this hand, and that's the main reason I kept it. So let's continue on. Our opponent is gonna start with Inspiring Vantage, and then he's gonna go Kithian, which is really good turn one play against us. We draw our fourth color for the ley line, which makes it a little bit better. Our opponent's gonna go Burning Tree into Epicure and attack us for 2. So now we're kind of under pressure because this Kithian is gonna flip. We foretell the Behold the Multi Universe, but we're definitely in a really bad spot because it once this Kithian flips, then the only way we can answer the board is going to be through a ley line plus a wrath. So now we're on a two spell turn, which is kind of awkward because everything in our hand is high combat mana cost. So let's continue. Let's see what our opponent has for us on turn three. On his turn three, our turn two. So he's gonna attack all three, flip the Kithian, and then play Thalia. Thalia is a huge spell for our opponent because now we're really locked down, right? It stops us from top decking any temporary lockdowns or any supreme verdicts and just wiping and resetting the board. So Thalia is a really tough draw. We top deck the Godless Shrine for the ley line, which makes the ley line a little bit cheaper, but also gives us the ability to play absorb if we need to. So I play 2 life because I believe that I can absorb and then gain 3, which nets me 1 more life, but then also stops any crazy play that my opponent might have. So in this turn, if my opponent plays something, I'm actually looking to counter it rather than playing the ley line. But that's only if they play it prior to their attacking phase. If not, if they force me to play the ley line, I'm not gonna really have a choice, and I'm gonna have to ley line the Gideon. So let's see what our opponent has for us. So he's just gonna plus on the Gideon, play the land, and attack us. So and I believe here I there is some consideration on ley lining. Obviously, we want to ley line the Gideon because then we can wrath the board. Right? We can like temporary lockdown and then wrath the board. I think it's actually a mistake here because the only way we can get back into the game is to, I believe, to top deck another ley line because we can't cast temporary lockdown because we have a tap land. We can't cast Supreme Verdict because of the Thalia, and obviously we have a tap land again. Um, Thalia is making everything expensive, so our out is actually top decking another ley line. So um, our play here, our play here should be to uh, ley line. Yeah, our play here should be to ley line the Thalia and then hope to top deck another ley line. Perhaps a Bracing Bower to bounce something back will help us. But we're in a very awkward spot here. We don't really have many outs. Yeah, with him animating then this is going to be game. There's really no outs for us. Um, so that's gonna be our second game. A little bit tough, but it makes you understand the power of temporary lockdown as well. So I will definitely next game or next games against a deck like this, I will always tell you to consider, even if you have a really good hand that curves out, consider perhaps mulliganing into a temporary lockdown. Um, or at least a Supreme Verdict in hand, because the fact that we didn't have any wraths or any way to reset the board really cost us the game. This game. All right, let's go to game three. See you there. Hello, guys. Welcome to game three. Let's go over the sideboard. So I kept the same one, just submit it. Our starting hand was Sparrows, Heck Porters, Wandering Emperor, and Lance. So the reason why I keep this hand is because we have a way to interact with the with the 4 damage land, but then we also have ways to cycle, and we have a cheap ley line with the bounce. So as long as we draw either more draw spells early enough, or we draw a temporary lockdown, we should be fine. We have Narset, we have Thirst for Meaning, and we also have uh, Behold the Multi Universe. So we have ways of getting our wrath, even if we don't get it, even if we don't draw it precisely. And we have a Wandering Emperor. So Wandering Emperor is actually really good in this matchup. So this is also a reason why I kept this hand. We're on the play, so a lot of things change. But let's see what our opponent has for us. So he's gonna go turn one into Epicure. And then we top deck the Wrath. So top decking the Wrath here is huge. So I just play my other land because now I don't need to cycle my land to try to find my board wipe. And our opponent has a slow hand because on turn two he just plays another 1/1 and we draw another Wrath. So with drawing the second Wrath, we're kind of set here. Our opponent's gonna put more cards in hand, and I'm gonna go over to my turn. And one of the things you're gonna see here is that I play my Field of Ruin, but I'm not gonna Supreme Verdict this turn because I can just -2 on the knight, right? On the 4/4, gain 2 life, and then I can make a 2/2 that blocks the 1/1s the turn after, right? But then also me Wandering Emperor, the 4/4 away, forces him to overextend and to keep extending into the board, so it's gonna allow me to Supreme Verdict. So as you can see, he put a Thraben Inspector and a Ogre Headhelm in his hand. So the fact that I'm gonna Wandering Emperor away the 4/4 is gonna make him want to play those cards from his hand. So let's see what happens. It's also a really good setup because remember that Keruga is still in exile. So I'm gonna Wandering Emperor here, excel the 4/4. Right? He's gonna get in for 2, which is fine. Play his land, play Thraben. He's playing an Ornithopter, and he plays another Knight Errant. So he completely overextended into this first Supreme Verdict. So it's gonna be actually a really good Supreme Verdict because I'm gonna Wrath and then still be able to activate my Wandering Emperor. What is really nice too, so we top deck a temporary lockdown, but what's really nice too is that we have lands in our hand that also have activated abilities, so we're gonna be able to really be in control of the board. We plus the Wandering Emperor because we don't need to put a token. Our opponent plays a creature land and extends into the board again, and this is a perfect temporary lockdown reset, and then we put our 2/2 for the den. So with that, we block the 1/1, and we kill the other 1/1s for our Wandering Emperors to survive, and then he plays a Thraben. And with the Thraben in play, we start getting aggressive, and then we're gonna get Keruga in hand. This is mainly just because I would just wanted to draw more cards, but then also if my opponent plays more 4/4s, then I'm able to Elspeth and then board wipe him as well. Not only that, but putting the 1/1s is just gonna give me infinite blockers. So I'm trying to set up a turn where I can draw more cards with Keruga, just in case the game goes longer. But this game, pretty much, when I cast the temporary lockdown, the second Wrath, it was over. So I'm just gonna get rid of his den here to make sure that my Elspeth doesn't die when I play it. And then here I'm gonna play the Elspeth and just make infinite blockers. He's not gonna be able to get through this anymore, and our opponent is just gonna give up. So this very important sequence to be aware that he had the den, and not play Elspeth into it and just put Keruga in our hand, but also to be able to kill his guy, and then keep our tokens, right? With the Wandering Emperor on 3, we can minus and we're completely comfortable. And also he's at 13 and we're making a bunch of 1-1. So the game is pretty much locked. Um, yeah, that was game one. So we're 1-0 in the league with blue white Keruga control.